Hello, Des Moines Moms Blog followers. My name is Kara, and I am one of the co-owners of Des Moines Moms Blog. And I am talking with Earl May Certified Lawn and Garden Expert, Heather Ewig. Heather is located at the 22nd Street location in West Des Moines, but Earl Mays are all over the metro and all over Iowa, truly. Heather, where are the other locations in the metro that people can go?
Sure. So the other locations are going to be at the Waukee location. That's going to be on the Hickman Road. Then we also have our brand new store in Grimes, which is going to be off of Highway 141. We also have our Southside location, which is going to be on Bloomfield Road. And then we have our other location that is going to be in Ankeny on Highway 69.
Very good. I will say that I am a Grimes resident, so I love the new Grimes store. I think the staff is super, the location is awesome, and everybody's been really helpful whenever I come in with questions. So great. Okay, so to come back, we are talking about planting a vegetable herb garden in small spaces, whether that is raised beds or container gardens. So Heather's just going to kind of walk us through some of the basic things, and then we have a couple of questions too. So, okay, Heather, let's pretend I am brand new to all of this. What are some things that I should consider before starting like a small space vegetable and herb garden?
Okay, so the first thing you really want to do is location. You ideally really want a spot that's going to get at least 6 to 8 hours of sun.
Okay.
So the vast majority of your veggie plants are going to need that full sun location in order to produce very well. There are very few plants that'll do well with at least 4 hours of sun. So you're very limited in a shady location. The next thing would be is if you're doing a small raised garden, you want to make sure that the area is very well drained and doesn't hold water.
Okay, that sounds like things that I can do. Okay, what do I need as far as getting started? Like what supplies?
Okay, so the supplies that you're going to need is if you're going to be doing like a container gardening, you're going to want to get your containers set up and picked out. Larger containers are going to be better for larger type plants like tomato plants and pepper plants. There are some like bush variety cucumbers that you can do in a container. You can then start with like smaller containers for like your herbs. And then in like your small space gardening, if you're doing like a raised bed garden, you'll just kind of want to plan out if you've got like a smaller space, maybe bush variety type plants, so you can get a little bit more in there and that you won't be taking up a large space for just a few amount of plants to be able to get a little bit more in.
Okay. If I wanted to do something in like a large pot, like say I don't have raised beds, is that like a possibility too?
Yeah. So I've had a lot of success with container gardening. I've done large tomato plants in a large container. I have also done pepper plants. I've also had success with doing multiple herbs in a large pot. Okay. I've also had success with doing some onion plants in a container as well.
Okay. Onions, I feel like are really hard to grow. Like every year, I think, okay, this is the year that I can plant like the little small onion and it's going to be like a big onion. And every year I'm really like disappointed. Do you have any tips as far as like successful onions?
So there's the difference between onion sets and onion plants.
Okay.
So the onion sets are going to be your bulbs, and that's going to be your early skinny green onions.
Okay.
You can let them grow a little bit bigger, but they're going to probably be about smaller than a baseball size, and that's going to be used more for a cooking onion. Right. Your onion plants are going to be the ones that's going to be your large table onions. Those are going to take a little bit longer. Biggest problem is very compact soils really reduce root crops and they don't produce very well. The other thing would be lack of phosphorus in the soil. So something high in the middle number of any fertilizer will help out with that as well.
Okay, so let's talk about like fertilizers and like, so is there like a specific like soil that I should use when I'm starting like these plants in pots or raised beds? Like, is there something that you can recommend?
Yeah. We do recommend that you use like the container mix. It has like a moisture holding crystals in there that you can use for containers. We also have a organic complete planting mix, which is a third topsoil, a third peat, and a third compost. Also works well for in-ground containers. Then we also have like what's called like a Mel's mix that we kind of do our own. It's also a third, and a third. So it's a third peat, a third vermiculite, and a third compost. But those composts, there's at least 3 different varieties of compost that you use. So the more varieties of compost you use, the better your garden is going to be diversified.
Wow, that was a lot of things that I had no knowledge. Can you tell me like the difference between peat and I've already forgotten like the 3 different
Peat
levels.
moss and vermiculite?
Yes, yep. Can you tell me about those?
Yeah, so peat moss is going to be like a soil type conditioner. It has some acidic qualities to it, helps make your soil looser. Vermiculite is going to be like a variety of volcanic type pumice that also helps aerate the soil. So it's really good. So if you have like compact soils, it's really good to help kind of keep it loose.
Okay, so I'm guessing like that's just not going to be like normal dirt that I find in my backyard, right?
No.
Okay, so like I specifically like probably need to like get some of these things and add it in to make sure my plants have a better like chance of succeeding. That's probably one of my problems. Okay. What about as far as like best practices when I finally like I've got all of the things that you've recommended and I'm going to go like plant these things? What tips can you give me for that?
Okay, so first thing is have a plan. Where are you going to plant these? Okay, so there are certain plants that you want to start early. So like cole crops, spinach, lettuce, radishes, those are going to be like your earlier season types. So you want to get those going. And then when those are done, then you can have a plan for the warmer type stuff. So like peppers and tomatoes, any of your vine crops like cucumbers, watermelon, those are going to need more warmer type soil. So you can have a wide variety of a garden in a small space just at different times of the year.
What time of year are we in right now?
Okay, so we're kind of coming at the tail end of the cole crops, spinach and lettuce type season, and we're starting to gear up into the tomato and pepper. So it's a little on the early side for the tomatoes and peppers. Mm-hmm. So usually around Mother's Day or May 15th is our frost date, okay? So then it'll be real safe to plant things after that.
Okay, so then we need to be worrying about like with all of those warmer things, like being concerned about ground temperature and like any like hard frost that we might see on the radar in the forecast, correct?
Correct. I have seen frost hit Iowa on May 15th.
I know, that's crazy. The weather in Iowa, it's unpredictable. You never, ever know. Okay, so after like I've taken your calendar and like suggestion as far as dates and things, so how do I continue to care for my garden and my plants and my herbs and all the things that I've tenderly nurtured and prayed over?
Okay, so you really want to make sure that the soil is evenly moist, not sopping wet. Okay. So the people will either overwater or underwater. So just kind of make sure that the soil is evenly moist. And it depends on the type of fertilizer that you use, whether it's going to be a short-term or a long-term. If you use a short-term fertilizer, you can do on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Long-term, it just kind of depends. There's some that's out there that you can use that feeds for 3 months, some that feeds for 6 months. So it just kind of depends on the type of fertilizer. Then you're going to want to be prepared to whether or not if we're going to have like bugs or fungus. So you can really kind of prepare and be proactive on it. Don't be reactive, especially with the fungus. And then there's different types of products that you can use. You can do your traditional, which is going to be more of like your chemical-based types, or you can go more on the organic side, more natural side if that's what you prefer.
Okay. And when you say kind of organic natural side, like that kind of encompasses like your compost that you would do like maybe at your house type of thing, right?
Yes. Yeah, so you can do like composting more on the organic side, but then like your fungicides and your insecticides are going to be more on a plant, based on a plant based material type,
Hmm.
or a metal base. Like copper is a great fungicide that's
Oh.
natural that you can use on a broad spectrum. And then we also have like Captain Jack's, which is going to be an insecticide, which is a bacteria that was discovered in the Caribbean rum distillery. So there's different things that you can use that's safe for your family if that's what you want.
Yeah. And like the fungicides, like those are the types of things where you start seeing like stem rot and things, or like I
Spots
feel
on the leaves.
spots on the leaves. I cannot grow zucchini to save my life, which I feel like is really ironic because everybody can grow zucchini. It seems like, you see these people with gigantic, like armfuls of zucchinis, and I can't ever get a zucchini plant to grow because it always has stem rot. Like it inevitably, like I have stem rot and it just walks over and dies.
So more than likely, that's going to be a borer issue that gets into the vine. So if you get more of that where it wilts, then that's going to be an insect problem. So
Oh, all the fun things. Okay, so we have some reader questions. What are something like, what do you recommend for a beginner?
so
Something that they can start with.
yeah, beginners, don't start off with a huge garden with a wide variety. Start off
Mm-hmm.
something small with a few plants, just kind of get your feet wet and get used to things. So you can do tomato plants, you can do pepper plants, lettuce is easy, spinach is easy, uh, radishes are easy, cucumber plants are easy. So there are a few things that you can do that's super easy. Start off small and then get bigger as you go.
Okay, that sounds good. Do you have any recommendation for like things that would do well in pots?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that'll do well in pots. So you want to stick with more bush variety types, like bush variety
Mm-hmm.
tomatoes. Peppers will do well. There is bush variety cucumbers that you can do, radishes, lettuce, spinach. So like a lot of your leafy type crops will do well in containers. Herbs, there's a wide variety of herbs that you can do. Basil is real popular.
Yeah.
Chives is super easy.
Okay, those are good. Okay, another question. This is so me. So she says, I planned on starting seeds indoors, but time got away from me and I haven't gotten it done. Are there any types of vegetable seeds that I can directly sow outdoors?
Sure. Yeah, you can do any of like your tomato plants and peppers by seed. Green beans are great to start outdoors directly.
Mm-hmm.
Any of your lettuce, your leafy types will do well directly sown. Then any of your vine crops will do well at a later date. Any of like your cucumbers, your squash, your melons, any of those you can start directly in the seed outdoors. Potatoes, seed potatoes we're right at the tail end of seed potato season. You can sow those directly into the ground as well.
Okay. Uh, Another question from a reader. So, what are some things that do well next to tomato plants, like some good neighbor plants that can mutually benefit each other?
Rue is going to be one. Sage will be another. Oregano, chives would be another. So various different plants would be called what's companion planting.
Mm-hmm.
Will benefit them in different ways. A lot of people will do like marigolds around the garden to help repel insects, and because of the smell, it also helps kind of repel rabbits to a certain point.
Hmm.
So we do also have our garden and like our seed pamphlet book that we hand out. It's complimentary, that has companion planting in there as well as the seed starting or transplanting dates in there as well.
Okay. That is very helpful. Okay, last question or two last questions. Um, okay, you said that most things need full sun. Okay, that's good. Can we talk about composting and like worm tea and how best to use those?
Okay, so composting, you'll kind of start at the beginning of the season. So there is a compost starter that you can actually use to activate the compost
Oh.
to get it going more. The best thing you want to make sure is that you want to make sure that you're turning your compost pile frequently and adding water to it, because that's really going to keep it going. You want to keep the moisture in there. Some things are going to break down quicker than others, but on the average, using the compost starter will get it broke down in 90 days. So you don't want to start the compost towards the end of the year. You want to start it more towards the beginning of the year. You can certainly start it at the end of the year because you'll have like those leaves and stuff, but really get it going in the springtime. So compost, the tea, worm casting tea, is it's going to be the same thing as compost tea. So you're going to kind of create a tea solution, and then you're going to be watering with it.
Okay. That's good to know. And then to wrap up, can you tell me, like in this time of quarantine and social distancing and COVID-19, like what are my options for like curbside pickup or buying something online?
Sure. We do offer the online buying. So as soon as we receive the order, we fill the order, and then we give you a call. And then when you come into our parking lot, call us, and then we'll bring it right out to your vehicle and load it up for you. We also have phone orders that you can call directly to the store and make a phone purchase over the phone. Which that's probably going to be the best for annuals and veggies and things like that. That's not on the online.
Okay.
The curbside pickup will work about the same way as well. And then all Earl Mays are trying their best to practice social distancing, sanitizing in between customers, and just trying to sanitize the carts and the baskets. So we're just trying our part into doing the for the COVID-19 thing.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay. Well, I think that covers the very tip of the iceberg on like container gardening in small spaces with vegetables and herbs. I didn't mention this at the top of when we started this, but viewers, if you have a question or a comment or something that you want answered by Heather, feel free to drop something in the comments below. We are also giving away a $25 gift card to Earl May too. So we would love to see, what you're thinking and if you have any questions. But thank you so much today for your time, Heather. I learned a lot, and I'm sure everybody else did too.
Thank you.
Thanks.